All right, degree of dimension. You should have reviewed the degree of dimension page and then also submitted some work for the assignment, or be doing that. Now, finding the form and also understanding the degree of dimension can play into each other. Now, let's say I want my form, this form, to stand up. Well, now that I've laid in on both sides of this, I still have a lot of thickness and blockiness to deal with, especially, I mean, look at the side of that finger, but I need to start making that decision. I know some of you, your clay has dried out a bit, so I need to start thinking about, okay, what concessions am I going to have to make because I want this to stand up? This would put it more in the view of a work in the round. It would still be a work in the round laying down. You could also decide, oh, I'm going to have my hand be curved, right? Well, it's still soft enough where I can start putting a curve into all of that. So finding the form has a lot to do with degree of dimensionality, all right? It's about how you ultimately want this thing to be seen. It's not just necessarily honing in after you've laid in the form, but also this concept of finding what you want to do with this thing. Of course, the other thing that you could do that's really not that difficult is, look, you could take something and make a pretty generous hole here, right? I just jammed this eraser into here, right? I have a nice generous hole, and I can epoxy a screw or a bolt into that. And then later on, I could then screw this hand to a wall, right? So then this thing is coming out of a wall. So it becomes more like a one-sided 3D work, doesn't it? You know? So, I mean, there are many possibilities. Now, it could be what you want it to be, but you have to think about, what is the form I want to do, start honing in on it, give it its particular position. I could make a walkthrough piece out of hands. I'd need probably a lot of hands, but I could put a hole in here like I've done right now, or I could put a hole straight through it so I could hang it with rope or monofilament if I wanted it to disappear. So there's all these things to be considered as we start finding our form and then ultimately finishing our form. I haven't even started my second one, so I'm well behind you guys. I have, 5 classes to do demos for, so I hope you understand. Remember, rough in the form, lay in the form, and then start chiseling down, really paying close attention. If you skip any one of those steps, or things are way off, right? If you don't have the fact that your thumb doesn't quite come up to that index finger knuckle, or, this is the widest part of the hand and it's only about 3/4 as long as the whole hand. If you don't have those things figured out in the rough in and the layout, and you start trying to find the form, things are going to be off. So often you have to toggle back and forth, all right? And degree of dimensionality plays into it. What do you ultimately want to do? How do you ultimately want this thing to be perceived? Okay? All right.